everybody, Tiny House Dreaming here. As you can see, I'm back home. Well, some of you guys didn't follow me back in my van dwelling days, but this is my home, my van. While I'm not on the road, this is home. I have been back in California for about a week now, and I've been sick for maybe 3 days now. Today's like the first day that I'm actually my lymph nodes have been swollen. They're like starting to go down. This one's still you can see it like bulged out a little bit still. But I am high off cold medicine and I'm feeling okay. So I thought I would just check in with you guys really quick to let you know what's been going on. Although I don't have much to report on because, like I said, I just been home for the last week or so. Well, not or so, like the last week. And so when I first got back, I think either Thursday or Friday was my I spent all day in the DMV, but I wanted to make sure I took care of like switching my license over and all that stuff while I was here, because they did let me come home. Like when I was in Utah, after I passed my test, I stayed. Troy asked me to stay just like in case he got a heads up about a train or anything, but he never got an email back. So he was like, go ahead and go home. I'll put it in the system that you're going to be home for a couple days and you'll get your license and everything switched over. So that way, when I'm in the midst of being on the trainer's truck, I don't have to try to get routed back here to California, and I can kind of just focus on my 30,000 miles, which works for me. But really quick, while I'm talking about DMV, like when you're here, and this is only specific to California, I'm not sure how other states work, but if you're getting your commercial license where you're out of state and you're having to come back, and I think this is pretty much for, well, maybe not, but if you go to a school that's like a company sponsored school, it's probably because the company's big enough where they're going to send your record or your file or like your test scores electronically. And I made the mistake of, because I tested out for my permit, I tested out at just a regular DMV office, and I didn't realize that I would have to go to a commercial office to like switch over or have them pull my scores. So I ended up going to a DMV and like spent 2.5 hours here. Well, I'm saying here in the Bay Area, but that's where I am anyways. But I spent 2.5 hours at my local DMV, and when I got up to the window, they told me that they didn't have any way to pull my electronic scores, that I needed to go to a commercial field office, like one of the offices that has a commercial examiner where they give the commercial driving test. Not that you're going to need to take that because that's what you're trying to have them pull your scores for. But I guess the examiners that do the commercial test for like people that have their own truck and they take it to the DMV and test like that, those are the only people that have access to like log into whatever system. I think Prime told me it was called like eBus or eBass or something like that. But whatever system it is that they electronically send your scores over to, only commercial examiners have the ability to like log in where they have a password and stuff. So if you go to a regular field office, like the field office I went to, they didn't even know what I was talking about. And then she had to actually get a DMV book, the same book that you like study from. And I think it's like page I-9 or I-11 or something like that in the book. It tells you about like if you take your your CDL test out of state, then they'll electronically send the records over. Like it tells everything that I'm saying here. But the lady at DMV actually had to like literally read that for herself. She kept asking me for a piece of paper, and I'm like, they didn't give me a piece of paper. They told me that it was electronic. Like they actually do give you a piece of paper. Like Prime gave me this paper that has like your test scores in like each section. So like this is my road test. And it tells like the pounds, the axle weight, what type of vehicle, like the transmission was manual, air brakes, all of that stuff. But he told me at Prime, like the guy that's over the training, he let me know that this is just for your records. Like it's not something that you hand over to DMV. So I knew that he had told me, you'll have to have DMV pull them electronically. That's how they do it. But this lady didn't know what I was talking about, and she kept wanting me to give her the paper, and I'm like, but this is not, I'm saying I'm holding on to this paper because like I have my permit back here behind the paper or whatever. I'm like, I'm holding on to this paper, but it's not like, I mean, I could print this paper up on Microsoft Word and hand it to you. Like, it's nothing official. So she ended up reading the book, like I said, and she sent me to, and the closest ones to Oakland are Stockton, Fremont, and West Sacramento, which West Sacramento is not anywhere close to Oakland, but those were the three closest to my area. Then there's like a few down south. There's Bakerfield, Fresno, but there's like about 20 commercial offices for DMV. Well, commercial DMV offices, there's not a lot of them. So, like, if you're coming to California after you're seeing this, save yourself time and look in that book, or look, I know that you can look online as well, or you can even download a PDF version of the commercial handbook, and save yourself the time and just go to the right office to begin with. And I think that would go for, like, say you went to Swift and they send their, because what the way the book read, and I wish I would have kept it, like I threw the book away after I didn't need it. But the book said if you take your CDL test out of the state, your records need to be electronically submitted to DMV. So the way that reads to me is they're not saying prime. They're saying anytime you go out of state, they need to electronically submit your test results. So I don't think, I mean, to me, that would mean if you go to any school or whatever, if you're not taking your test in the state of California, then you're going to have somebody pull your records electronically. So just save yourself the time and go straight to a commercial place because, yeah, save yourself the time. But anyways, so I talked to my trainer on Friday morning, and so I'm going to be getting on my trainer's truck tomorrow. I'm not sure if I said that already. I feel kind of loopy because of the cold medicine, so forgive me, guys. But yeah, I talked to my trainer on Friday. He sounds really cool. He sounds like he knows his stuff. He is in a manual truck, so I'm kind of like nervous about that, but I'm also kind of excited. Like gave him a heads up that I know the manual enough to like where I've obviously passed the test. I wasn't killing anybody or didn't almost kill anybody on the road or anything like that. I mean, I'm comfortable with it, but not super comfortable with it. And more so, it's the clutch. Like I was kind of thinking about like you're going to be traveling through like big cities where it's going to be traffic. So I'm kind of worried about like having to hold on to that clutch, because if the clutch was anything like the pad truck at Prime, and like we had 3 different pad trucks that I like, bounced around from, and the clutch is like really stiff. So that's kind of a concern, but I'm a go-getter type person where I'm not gonna like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like I'm more of I'm gonna give it a try, and I mean if I can't conquer it, then I can't conquer it, but I'm gonna darn sure give it a try. So I let him know that like I've never driven on like any hills, and definitely not like steep hills where you have to like I just let him know that like, so you might want to stay awake for our first couple of hills and like teach me what I need to know about what gear to go into, all of that stuff. Like, I mean, I've used the Jake brake and the automatic, and I did let him know that my first trainer had an automatic. So like the only behind the wheel experience in a manual I had was practicing shifting and everything, and that was in Utah. That was just on city streets, a little bit of freeway, but 2 miles doesn't really count when you're talking to an over-the-road driver. 2 miles is like, you might as well not even have any freeway experience. So, he knows that, he was definitely like, yeah, I'm going to help you. Like, as long as you're not fearful, that's all that matters. When I tell you to do something, do it, and then I'll let you know why I told you to do it. But he was like down with, he's willing to teach me and all that, so I'm definitely willing to learn. I know that I'm teachable. So that's not a problem, but wish me luck, guys, because I am worried about that, the city traffic on like, or the city traffic. What is it? Like there's a word when you're stuck in traffic on the freeway, like going through big cities. Geez, I can't think of the word. It's like right there on my tip of my tongue. But anyways, and he doesn't know I'm a YouTuber, so I don't know how he's going to feel about that, or if he's going to even be comfortable with me YouTubing like when we're stopped in his truck or not. But like I was doing back before I got off of my last trainer's truck, like when I stopped at truck stops, I always took a minute to let you guys know where I was, how things were going, if I have any news or whatever. I definitely want to do a pre-trip video, especially while it's still fresh in my head. But I do have my pre-trip paper that I kept, a nice clean copy, and like I still can recite them off the top of my head, but it's only been like a week now. But I wanted to do a pre-trip of like the different, I'll make a video for each different like component of the pre-trip instead of one long pre-trip video. Although pre-trip video ain't really long. I think 30 minutes and I would be able to do everything, including like the air brakes and all that. But I do want to do that for you guys. So anybody that's coming to Prime. Now my roommate that I had when I came back to Salt Lake for the second time, and I had my roommate, I'm trying to think of the company. She had tried to go to a different company. I feel like it was Western Express, maybe. And she had this like laminated pre-trip paper. So I was like excited to like see it because it was laminated. I was like, oh, and it's, it was snowing at the time. So I'm like, this wouldn't get dirty or anything. But as I started looking at it, it wasn't as thorough. And then their wording was a little bit different. I believe that they were in Utah, though. Like the company was in the same state, because I don't know, like I know that different companies or even different schools teach you the pre-trip in a different way, and I think it's based on the state requirements, because like I know in my California CDL at the back of the book they had the pre-trip requirements and like what they wanted you to point out and what they wanted you to say, and I think that is how the different companies come up with pre-trip, is it varies from state to state as far as what the state requires of you. So like even as talking to somebody from Prime in Missouri, like the first time I come across somebody with Prime in Missouri, I'm gonna ask them like, is there a pre-trip? I should have probably asked Jounior Hoduras this. When I see him, I will ask him. But I'm wondering if their pre-trip paper, like those 10 pages are exactly the same, or if they're the same things but worded a little different, or does Missouri want you to point out different parts of like they might add or not have you point out certain things in the engine compartment. Like I wonder how that works. I'm imagining that the in-cab and the air brake test is always going to be the same because it's like very basic. The trailer is probably the same. The coupling area is probably the same. I would think that they're pretty much the same, although I do remember like there's a few things in California's book that I can't remember if it was missing from Utah or if Utah had a few things that California didn't require. I think it was more Utah had a few things that California didn't require. I'm going to have to pick up one of those CDL books just to show you guys the page of the commercial DMV and like about the electronic submission of your test scores, and also to kind of compare the Utah one versus the California pre-trip. But I definitely know that this would be, like when I do that pre-trip video, that would work for anybody that's coming to Salt Lake City. And as soon as I run into somebody that tested in Missouri that had like their information for their pre-trip, I'm gonna like run it past. I'll show them my paper and see if that was exactly their paper, because they might just download the same paper. I'm not really sure, and it might be that Prime is so thorough that it doesn't really matter. But I'm pretty sure that Prime's pre-trip had like stuff that I didn't see on the California book. But like I was saying, my roommate, I believe the company she went with was Western Express, but I'm not positive, but I think that's what it was. My throat's starting to break up. Sorry guys, I'm gonna make this quick. But her pre-trip was like 2 pages. It was laminated, and it was like not close to as much stuff as is on Prime's pre-trip. So, but I do think that they were in Utah, that company. So like, I don't know how that works, because I thought they were just doing state requirements, but I'm not sure. And I have never actually looked at Utah's CDL book to know that Prime, because Prime might just go above and beyond, because they are so big on safety that they might require you to go above and beyond, where you touch on all the points that the state requires, but they want you to know even more than what the state's requiring. And that could be quite feasible or understandable or whatever. But yeah, guys, this is already almost 15 minutes. I'm going to let you go. I get on my trainer's truck tomorrow again. Once I kind of get settled in, like maybe a day or two after, and like when we come to a truck stop or whatever, I will make a video and let you know where I'm at and like how it's going or whatever. And by then I'll probably, like, my trainer will probably know I'm a YouTuber, and I'll see how he feels about it. You know, I mean, it doesn't really matter how he feels about it. Like, this is my channel or whatever. So either way, I'm going to update you. But like, you know, depending on where we are, I see it's still snowing. Like I was watching Jounior Hoduras' live feed. He's at the MATS convention. I'm not sure what that stands for, but it's like some kind of trucking convention or something. And I seen snow on the ground behind him. And I was watching somebody else and it was snowing. So like it might be a little easier if I could sit in the truck and YouTube to let you guys know. But I can always sit in the rest stop as well. But keep in mind, guys, that it's a little bit different type of training than what I was going through when I was in my last trainer's truck. Like that was my PSD stage. So she was actually awake and we were asleep at the same time. When this phase of training, I mean, the first couple of days until he knows that I can actually drive and he can trust his life in my hands, he probably will be up with me. But the point of it is where he's going to be asleep, like we're running as a team. So he'll be asleep while I'm driving and I'll be asleep while he's driving. So it won't be as much like time where we're kind of at a truck stop for hours and hours overnight. We're going to pick back up in the morning. So there won't be a lot of time. So a lot of my videos might be a little bit shorter, like maybe 15 minutes or so, but probably not longer, just because, you know, as we do stop at truck stops or like Walmarts or something to grab stuff, like it'll have to be kind of in motion, like while we're moving, you know, I mean, you know, like we're handling business, so we're not just standing around like trying to kill time. So, but I will definitely keep you guys updated. I want to say thank you to Jounior Hoduras for showing up on my test date. That was like so awesome. Like I kind of got a 2-for-1 day. Like I got past my test, so like a great memory. And then on top of that, he was right there with his camera. Like I didn't even, when I first got off the truck, I didn't even realize he was standing there. And he had the camera in front of his face. And then when I realized, I'm like, oh, I felt so special. So thank you so much. I still can't wait to like run across you in, you know, just at a terminal or something, just because I was like so happy that day that I didn't actually sit down and talk to you. But it would be cool to sit down and talk to you and like have you pass on a few tips that I don't even know that I need to know, that I know that you can pass on to me. And so thank you so much. Thank you for sending people to my page. I appreciate it. Pinky, her channel is Keeping It 100 Trucking. I know I shouted her out before and let you guys know that she's awesome. She used to work for Prime. She just recently quit and went to USA, but she's still making good videos, very informative information. She still has the same cool spirit. So if you aren't already following her and you're into like trucking, go follow her. I'm sure if you're following me, you're probably already following Jounior Hoduras. But if you're not, go follow him. But he's like a superstar. And Guilty 718 wanted to give you a shout out as well. Can't wait to meet you at a truck stop. Like you, he reminds me of like the guys that I grew up with. Because, you know, I grew up in Oakland. You know, we're kind of rough around the edges. You wouldn't know it from like listening to Sweet Old Me, I know. But we're rough around the edges, and like he just tells you how it is. Like he reminds me of the dudes that I grew up with. So like I love watching him just because of that. Like he's real, he keeps it real, and I like a real person, you know, to give it to me how it is. And he's also shouted me out in his videos. And thank you all three of you guys congratulated me on my pass, on my trifecta. I appreciate it. I can't wait to like see all of you again. Pinky, I can't wait to meet you. Like I'm gonna really fan out when I meet. I've already fanned out for Junior, but I will still fan out again. But I'm gonna fan out when I meet Guilty 718 and Pinky. It feels kind of cool to like, before I ever came into this trucking thing, and actually before I even moved into my van, I used to watch them and just be like, man, and especially watching Pinky, I was like, if she can do this, I can do it. Like, I think watching her really made me, like, really pushed me to, like, actually come out here and do this trucking thing. And Guilty, his videos, like, I kind of want to be a flatbedder. I wanted to be a tanker when I first went to Prime, but I didn't realize they didn't run tankers out of Utah. So that wasn't an option once I got there. But I think I'm going to do reefer for a couple months, like get used to just the driving aspect and like get my stamina up of driving so many hours a day. But I do want to switch over to flatbed. I talked to one of the flatbedders, the trainers at Prime, and I was letting him know like that I kind of want to do it. And he was like, yeah, you can do it. Like, cause at first I was kind of worried about the tarps and stuff, but I think I want to do it. But Guilty has made me be like, yeah, flatbed gang. And I ain't even flatbed gang. But anyways, I'm going to talk to you guys later. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you so much to my new subscribers. I hope I'm keeping you entertained. I know I'm not as entertaining as some of the truckers out there, but if you're learning something, that's all that's all I can hope for, is to try to teach you something. Or like the newcomers, if you ever have questions, like, I'm very approachable. I'm just as nice as I seem in my videos. I'm just as nice in person or in real life. I'm at the library, so excuse the noise. But if you have any questions or something and you think I can answer them, or maybe I can try to find the answer for you, don't hesitate to send an email or leave a comment below. And just thanks for taking your time out of your day, because you could be watching anybody right now, but you're spending your 20 minutes with me. So I definitely appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day, and please wish me luck on the manual truck. Okay, bye.